everybody, it's Rob again. It's time for another member talk, and we are excited because we have a brand new member that's coming on board. In fact, when I say brand new, this new member has been with us for 4 days now, but they're such a great program. We wanted to get them out here. It's a company called Remembrance Well, and if you haven't heard of them yet, it's probably because they're almost brand new out there as well. So I have the CEO and founder, Jay Newton Small, with us. Good morning, Jay.
Morning, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. It's finally getting a little warm up here. We're in Washington, D.C., so we've had a very long spring.
Yeah, this is actually great. I think, to be honest with you, mile-wise, you guys are the farthest away from us that we've ever done one of these member talks. We're in Washington State, you're in Washington, D.C., so we are completely covering the entire country. So welcome, and welcome to the membership. We're happy that you reached out to us, and happy that you wanted to become a member, and excited to get you on here to talk about your product.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here, and I'm really honored to be a member.
So Jay, Remembrance Well. It started from a company called Memory Well, but it transitioned into or added a component called Remembrance Well. And if I'm saying this correctly, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, what Remembrance Well is going to do is going to help facilitate the writing of and the telling of obituaries for families. Is that an accurate way to put it?
That is absolutely an accurate way to put it, Rob. So Memory Well is the first company that I started, and that is similarly, it's a service that writes professional stories, in this case for seniors entering care. And it grew out of my experience caregiving for my father, who had Alzheimer's. And a few years ago, when I moved him into a community, they asked me to fill out this enormous, like 20-page questionnaire about his life. And I was sitting there struggling to write down the answers to these questions, thinking, I was a professional journalist. My background's been in journalism my whole career. I spent the last decade at Time magazine covering everything from the Obama White House to the Arab Spring. And I was sort of, thinking I'm a writer. I'm trying to fill out this questionnaire, trying to answer these questions, thinking, I'm never I find it really hard to answer these questions. Describe your parents' 50+ year marriage in 4 lines. It's like writing haiku. And then B, I didn't have a lot of faith that anybody would read and remember 20 pages of handwritten data points for the more than 100 residents in that particular community. And so instead I handed in the form blank, and I just do what I do best, and that is I wrote down his story. And there was one page, I printed it out, I really handed out around the community, and it really transformed his care. 2 of his caregivers were Ethiopian, and they'd had no idea that my dad actually lived in Ethiopia for 4 years early on in his career with the United Nations. And they became his champions. They would sit for hours and ask him what it was like to work with Emperor Haile Selassie and what the Empress was like. And Dad loved it because he still remembered Africa at that point from his early 20s, even if he didn't remember last week or last month or last year. So Memory Well, the original company, grew out of that about 3 years ago. We started, and we work with senior living communities, skilled nursing. But, in this time of COVID, and we felt that it was a really good moment. We had a lot of people asking us, could we also write memorials, for the ones that they were losing, and obituaries. And so we have a network of more than 800 writers across the country now, and including many in Washington State and Seattle. And what we do is we basically will interview family members and write the life story of that person, of the deceased, and that becomes like a really beautiful way of remembering them, a really beautiful obituary that is told in a very sort of professional and way in which family members really cherish and love.
Yeah. Well, it sounds great. I know as a funeral director, we're tasked with writing obituaries. And some of us, I will say, are very, very good at it, working with the families to gather that information, to understand who the person is that they're writing about, and can actually write a story as if they know the individual. But I think a big percentage of us as funeral directors, that's not something that we're specialized in. We're very good at other things, but we're not necessarily specialized in writing somebody's life story. So that's where Remembrance Well comes in, is working with the families, you as Remembrance Well, working with the families to pull that information out and put it down on paper to be able to put this into an obituary, whether it be going to a newspaper or added to somebody's website, or you, they can even put it onto your own website. Is that it, you have a website as well? Did I understand?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I can show you what it looks like on our website. And,
Sure.
it really can go here. Let me share my screen. And
Okay.
so it says host is disabled attendee screen sharing. So I think you have to give me
Oh, that's
permission.
neat. Yeah. Well, let's keep talking about something else because I don't know how
Okay.
to do.
It's it's okay.
I'm
So
brand new.
So basically, we don't have to look at the stories. I can always send, we can always sort of send them out and people can see them. But basically, yeah, we can host the stories on our site, and we have actually these timelines that families can build onto them, which serve as really amazing virtual memorials where they can add in, like build, photos, music, movies, audio clips from all different eras, and really kind of talk about different memories, and then they can take that plus the story and print those into books.
Wow.
Or I know that you can also we can also just send the story to the funeral homes and their websites. And I know that you guys, a lot of you have your own guest books. And so you can sort of take that story and then open up a guest book around it and have people contribute that way. So there's lots of different ways in which we can work. And whether we host it on our site or you host it on your site, we're pretty agnostic about that. And we just want to make sure that, the family's happy with it and whatever, and that it's used in which way they want. But a lot of families might use it to print it out for the service as part of the program. Some families do print books out of them, so that they have really lovely keepsakes. And so it's just, I think it's just nice to have that really beautifully told story for grandkids, for that legacy, so that they can get a sense of what that person was like. I think oftentimes it's a challenge for people who aren't professional writers to convey that you can have a lot of the facts and the data, but to really convey what that person was like, the feeling of who they were, that the essence of them, sometimes takes a little bit more. And all of our writers are trained in this, and they've been doing it for years, and they really are very, very good at the art of the profile. And that's really what we do is try to capture that person's, as much as we can, soul, I guess is the best way to say it, and who they were, and really save that for posterity.
Well, keeping sharing that story is what's keeping that person alive and keeping them with us for generations and generations. So often we get to a point where, we see the beginning and we see the end, we see the birth date and the death date. But after a generation or two, we tend to forget all the stuff in between. And that's, so important to continue that tradition. So I applaud you. I think it's a great process. I think it's a great program. How do we as funeral homes how do we partner with Remembrance Well? How does that work for us?
Super easy. So you just contact me, and I'm very easily found. I'm at j@remembrancewell.com. So Jay, like a blue jay, at remembrancewell.com. And you can check out our website, remembrancewell.com, and see examples of stories and timelines, what I was just describing. And we have really great pricing where we want to incentivize you to add us. And so we do revenue sharing models where you can get money back for using for promoting our products, and that way you're not spending anything to do this, and it's really just you're actually getting money out of doing this. And it's a really nice thing to add to your menu of services for families to pick from. And so much like they might want different kinds of urns or different kinds of caskets or things like that, this is just a different form of telling a life story that is a little bit more elaborate, and it involves usually an interview with our writers, one of our writers, of 30 minutes to an hour max, usually 2 people, maybe 3 if needed. And 96% of families say they love the interview process. It's super cathartic for them to kind of just talk through. I think a lot of oftentimes a lot of happier times, being able to remember the person in their prime.
Sure.
And then we write the story and send it back to you. So it's a really simple process. It can be done very quickly if it needs to be done, like in 24 hours, if that is a need for an additional fee. But generally, it takes a couple of days, a few days to turn around a story.
Yeah. Well, for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, that's really been the focus on um, our group as WSFDA. I know NFDA has really picked up the ball and has been running with that with their Have a Talk of a Lifetime series. But this is just another way to connect with your family. It's another way to build that relationship with your family. And that's really the most important part of what we do in serving a family is connecting with them and creating that relationship. We want them to feel comfortable with us as much as we want to feel comfortable with them. And using your product to help us to do that, I think, is just a way to put another party in the mix that creates just this wonderful relationship between the funeral home and the family of the deceased.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing that builds empathy like stories, and being able to read that story, being able to feel like you knew that person, being able to relate to that family and see connections potentially. Oh, they might have gone to the same college that your son is going to, or they might have been, lived in the same town where your mom grew up. And so there's all these ways in which just these little details, knowing these things can help connect people across the board, whether it's you and your customers, or whether it's even grandchildren who might not know these details about their grandparents, and being
Right.
able to preserve those for the families is just really special. And it's something that we feel really passionately about, being able to, really save those stories and pass them down for generations. It's as storytellers ourselves, it's really fun for us. And that's why we do what we do.
Well, one thing I really love about you guys is you are innovative, but you're not innovative in a way that you're rebuilding or remaking a wheel. You're doing this. You're getting us back to basics, and that's telling that story, continuing that life through storytelling. And so, I think it's great. I'm excited that you guys are coming on board with us. I'm excited that you're partnering with us. And again, welcome. Tell me once again. I wrote it down, but I want to make sure I got it right. J@remembrancewell.com is how we email you.
Yep, exactly. You can also call me. I'm at 202-460-0424. So it's J, spelled Jay, at Remembrancewell, REMEMBRANCEWELL, so all one word, .com. And the website's remembrancewell.com, or 202-460-0424. I'm very easily reached at any time.
Now, your free demo, which again, I apologize, I don't know how how to get that on there for some reason. But if we call you, can we
Mm-hmm.
set that up and we'll go through that so we can see it as opposed to just looking over the website, get some face to time and one-on-one with you and your team and really kind of delve deep into how that works?
Absolutely. As
Perfect.
when you call or when you email me, we can set up a time to. I really would, love to, anyone who's interested, show them the website, show them the different stories. We can send you sample stories of ones we've already done, and then sort of also send you some pricing that for you to consider offering to your clients and to your families. And so we would love to virtually meet, since all meetings these days are virtual.
Yeah.
Whenever you like.
Perfect. Well, Jay, thank you again. Thanks for coming on with us and sharing with us. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, and we'll keep talking with you again. So thank you, Jay. We really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Rob. Yeah, me too. I look forward to maybe meeting you in September. So hopefully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, as always, if you are enjoying these member talks, we ask that you go ahead and subscribe to them on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. If you want to participate and be a part of them, give me a call and we'll get you on here.